Are we live now?
We are.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome this evening to a special meeting of the Boone Community School District Board of Directors. This meeting was called to deal with continuing concerns around the school closures secondary to the COVID-19 outbreak or coronavirus crisis, whichever you want to call it. I will ask that we start with roll call. Mr. Lewis?
Weber,
Here.
Nystrom, Stephen, Pritchard,
Here.
Malhouse.
Here.
Okay.
Can Pam and Pat please speak up a little bit with their microphone so we can make sure they're here and can understand things?
Turn up my volume.
Okay.
Is that better? Okay, Brian.
Okay. Okay, I can hear Pat very well. So Pam, we can see you there. So up on the top on my iPad, I'd go up to my top and say something about Institute audio, and then there was a mic I had to demute myself. So you might want to try that. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. If there's any questions, there's a way to go through Boone TV and YouTube, and we can get those questions answered. We'll save some time toward the end of the meeting. The first thing on the agenda is the continuation of this contracted employees contract. I'm going to ask that Brad give us some information there, and if everyone else could mute their computers until he gets done, because we're getting some feedback here someplace.
Yeah, there's two agenda items there that maybe we can act on both of them together because it's really one motion. But the continuation of contracted employees, that's all our licensed employees. And we have a contract with them through the end of this school year, which is an obligation that we need to fulfill. And I've reviewed this with our school attorney to verify that all of our licensed employees are, their contract remains in place even with the school closing, and he has verified that. So in the attachment there, the first part of that is related to the licensed employees, and then the rest of them are related primarily to classified employees. There's some licensed employees in there with homeschool and a couple of places, but otherwise it's one is a continuation of the contract, which is a formality because we have the contract there in place, but taking a vote on it verifies to those employees and maybe relieves their concerns of whether that might or might not be valid.
Okay, and then the second part is 201.2 I'm sorry, 202.02 is for our classified staff, which is the other half of this contract. And basically, to summarize, they have been guaranteed their pay through April 13th. And then initially we're getting some feedback that they were talking about having to furlough those employees, but I think that has gone out the window and we will be paying them just as we have been for the last 3 weeks' time. As that is looking what all the other school districts in the state are planning on doing. Plus, it supports our employees in this crisis time. So they don't have to worry about trying to get through the furlough process and unemployment and everything when we do have the cash that the state gave us last summer that we were expecting to pay them. So that's kind of the language behind this. Any board members have any comments?
I would just share with the board that I've been in every other day, been in AA superintendent meetings with the SAI director, representatives IASB, and about 45 superintendents from the area. And the consensus is that they are paying their employees and continuing on. While there was a recommendation from one law firm out there that we might furlough employees, the discussion both among the district leaders and with legislators has been that the funding is there and designated to pay them. And the districts are planning on going ahead and doing that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nard.
The other thing I would add, at the top, we added a line that allows us to approve this not only through April 30th, but if there's an extension, it would approve it through the end of the school year so that our employees wouldn't have to kind of go through this again and worry about it. That if school is closed after April 30th, we would continue to pay them as they normally would be paid.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That was one thing I wanted to make sure of because, yeah, I know there's just enough anxiousness going on right now. And so for every 2 weeks for them to start to wonder, like, what is going to happen next? What is going to happen next? So I really appreciate it just being blanket from here till then, till they get, till we either come back or till it's done. So
I'll be making a statement about that later on as far as my other hat from the chairman of the county board of health as far as what is happening. But we put this in place just so we don't have to come back here May 1st, May 2nd and change again. That's why I asked that this be placed in here at this time. So any other questions? It should be noted too that there's a statement in here that employees will be assigned essential duties as necessary during this shutdown if we find something that we need to get done at the school. So that's the only other comment. Hearing no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion to pass both 2-01 and 2-02 at the same time.
This is Pat. I move to accept the recommendations in 2.01 and 2.02 for the payment of all of our faculty that are listed, faculty and staff that are listed on those recommendations.
Thank
second.
you, Ms. Stevens. Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Mr. Weber that we pass this compensation recommendation. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think that was unanimous.
Aye.
Okay. The motion passed. The motion passes unanimously. We did get a vote from Mrs. Nystrom too. Okay, we'll now move on to the continuous learning application. Dr. Menard, can you give us a brief explanation?
I'm sorry, I was muted. This is something we've been working on pretty intently over the last 2 weeks. Our administrators have really been working on it, as well as our teachers. And what we're proposing in this plan is that we do voluntary support or voluntary education for our pre-K through 11th grade students. This is what most districts are doing in the state. By doing voluntary, we do not have to give grades or anything, but there's activities that our teachers are putting on related to the essential standards that we want our students to be able to demonstrate prior to moving into the next grade level or next courses. And our teachers have been working on this for a couple of years and really done a nice job of identifying those and know how to apply that to the learning. And so I think that will go fine. The other thing by doing it this way is we do not have to make up any of the days. So we wouldn't have to come back in the summer and go to summer school for a month or 2 months. Um, the the other part of that is a requirement of education for our seniors. And again, this is essential learning skills. So our seniors will be able to demonstrate the things that we know we wanted them to know upon leaving those classes that would have given them a passing grade in the classes. It's not all the things we would have been doing, but it's the things that are most important that we want to make sure that they learn and understand. And so for our talking about the high school where credits need to be earned for our 9th through 11th grade students, they would have opportunities, as you can see on that handout, the kind of the matrix there, they would have opportunities to complete the coursework and do credit recovery for 4th quarter classes by demonstrating those essential standards. And they could do it by completing all of their required courses or all of their courses. They could do it by completing some of them now, some of them in the summer. They could do some of them in the fall. But basically, we're giving them an opportunity to demonstrate those essential standards this spring. If they don't fully complete all the courses, they'll have summer school opportunities in our credit recovery program to do that. And if they still need some additional time, we can set up some lab classes for support for them to complete that in the fall. If they don't complete those courses, those the fourth quarter of those courses by January 1 of 2021, they would then receive a withdrawal from the class and would have to retake that class. So it gives them lots of opportunity to complete things. And we're fairly confident that we can get our students work through that and make them successful. We've also set up, if we find students that aren't able to do things by over the online or over the internet, that we can then work with them to get them other options for completing similar work. And then our seniors, they would have to complete things by May 15th to graduate. We believe we're setting it up so that all of them will have a chance to complete all of that work and graduate. A lot of them may be taking 4 or 5 courses and may only need 2 to graduate. So they're required to get the 2 done that they need to graduate, but they have the option to complete the other ones as well. And again, that would be on a pass or incomplete basis. If they don't complete those at the end of the year, they just withdraw from that class so it doesn't show up on their transcript as a incomplete or something like that. Chris, anything else from that, Chris or Jill? We've worked quite a bit on the senior program. Any other things you'd like to share about that?
I just think that we're really trying to set up our students for success. We really want our students to work on those this spring semester. So with our messages, we're gonna strongly urge our students to take those classes and finish them. We're going to be putting in a lot of supports, a lot of contact with our students. Our teachers will be doing PLCing and meeting, and we've built in the system. I think that we can really support our students and help them succeed in this case.
I would just add that I think the model that we're using with a pass and incomplete just allows even more flexibility for our students rather than requiring them to complete all of their classes right now at this time. It gives them flexibility in choosing those classes that they feel like they can focus in on and complete right now under these circumstances, but also gives them flexibility to take the incomplete for now and take a course that maybe they know might be better taken in the summer or in the fall when circumstances are a little bit different. So we can coach our students and help advise them in what model is going to work best for them with their current understandings and current situations in life.
I'd also like to add that the content's going to be the same no matter what. So we won't be using the Edmentum piece in the summer like we have in the past when it comes to credit recovery. it'll be the same essential standards that everybody's finishing up during this spring semester. We'll take those and move them into the summer. And we might have to make some adjustments later on to our summer school and what that would look like. But we'll have to bring that to you at a separate time because we've already had our summer school plan passed, but we need to look at how many students we're going to have to support at that time.
Okay,
The other thing to keep in mind is pass-fail does not affect GPA.
Okay.
correct. Board members, any questions?
Are there any plans for students with IEPs or 504s, or how are we helping some of those students along?
There's a couple of things that we're working on there. One, today I was on with the special ed director from the AEA, and she said that we're much more flexible under the voluntary learning to work with special education students and not obligated to provide maybe the depth that we do during the regular school year. And there's also something going before the US Congress to kind of relieve us of some of the demands of that. But that doesn't free us from everything. We certainly want to educate those students. And so we're waiting to see a little bit of how that works itself out this week. And then we're guiding our special education teachers to be in contact with those students and see how they can adjust things to work with them and help them as much as we can. With our seniors, we're trying to get them graduated, so we're in pretty good shape there, and we'll continue to work with them. And those that are scheduled to graduate, we'll work to get them through.
Our teams have been working hard over the last over the last week in building supports with the assisted classes. In addition to getting in contact with the students to make sure that we're putting the supports in place to help get them through both the 9/11 and the 12. We had a meeting last week with all the special ed, and they hit the ground running. So I'm extremely proud of the way that they're handling things, and we'll do everything in our capability to make sure that we're supporting all those students too.
Flexibility of the credit recovery model that we're going to use with this pass and complete will allow us some flexibility too in supporting those students and encouraging the teachers to work with them on selecting where do they want to focus right now, what are the places where they need the most support, and how can we support them from a distance, and then we'll turn back to.
And that will also come in play with some of the supports for some of our at-risk students too. We're trying to base a lot of our professional development over the next few weeks on an article that we received that's going to focus more on trauma-informed care and the social emotional aspects of distance learning. And so I think we've kind of hit that, and we're going to, I'm actually meeting tomorrow with our instructional coaches to start looking at the plan and how that's going to look.
Okay, any other questions?
Is this pretty much in line with what other districts around the state are doing? Or are other districts requiring more, required coursework?
Actually, in our AEA, there's only 2 districts that are doing any required learning, and that's us and Van Meter. So we're actually expecting a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, I love to hear all this from the high school perspective, and that's obviously where a lot of focus needs to come, because we need to get these seniors graduated and make sure these students are falling behind. But I just want to also just take this time to thank all of you across the board, Autumn and Brad and Jill and just everybody, like from a elementary and Scott as well, like from a middle school perspective, like all of you guys have just been working so hard, and we've been getting, as a parent, I've been getting nonstop contact from my teachers and from you guys. And so I just applaud you guys for working so hard in this crazy time. So thank you guys for all your hard work.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this policy?
This is Pat. I think I'm finally on. This is Pat. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Okay. I don't know if that was Pam trying to move, but I will go ahead and move to accept the policy.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, it's moving second to accept this policy. All right, technically, it's not a policy, but a plan. Ms. Stephen moved and Ms. Pritchard seconded. If there isn't any further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Pat?
Aye.
Okay. Pam? Okay. I believe I heard all 5 people. We got the thumbs up from Pam, so we'll take that as a yes. So next thing we have on the agenda is to set a time for a special board meeting on April 20th. That deals with some school refinancing bond issues, or financing of some bonds that we did earlier, and should be noted that the district wants to get this done. We will have refinanced, is it close to $800,000 savings in the last
A
18
little
months?
over 600,000.
$600,000 savings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long is this meeting going to take, Mitch, on that Monday morning?
2 minutes to 10 minutes, depending on how long everybody wants to talk. So it just takes an action to say approve. So.
Okay. So does anyone want to do it at 7:30 a.m. or 6:30 p.m.? We only need 3 board members to approve this one, by the way.
I can do AM. That's best for me.
Okay.
I probably won't be able to make it at 7:30.
Okay. Okay. How about Pat and Pam? Can one of you?
I prefer PM.
You want PM? Okay.
Prefer.
Okay. We'll do it at 6:30 p.m. It won't take us that long. We'll probably do it just like this, a telemeeting, real
Brian?
quickly.
Brian,
Yeah.
we did have a work session scheduled for that night. We had talked a month or so ago about moving that into July when the new superintendent's here, so the board can work on planning with her.
I would agree with that. I think that planning probably needs to be more face-to-face instead of through the internet. I have asked that we're already working on her orientation her first 2 weeks, and I've asked that we set aside 3 or 4 hours for the board and her to get together and establish some board goals for the next year for the board and the new superintendent to work together with. So I think that'll be important the first couple weeks of July. So Mitch and I will work on trying to get that out with Julie's help here in the next couple weeks. So.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll do that at 6:30 on the 20th. Next, we got future plans and considerations. I think on this, I'd like to make a statement first. As most of you know, and those listening, I'm also chairman of the Board of Health for Boone County. And I'm on the state's, or the Boone County's Emergency Management Special Task Force for this crisis. So I've been following this, and I think that realistically, we probably will not be going back to school this year. If we go back, the earliest we could go back would be the May 15th, May 20th, from what I'm seeing. This virus is not scheduled to hit its peak effect in Iowa until somewhere between April 25th and May 1st, depending upon which projection model you use. And it's going to take 2 to 3, 4 weeks to go back down after that. Everyone is doing pretty good with the shelter in place, although I still see people out and about without masks on and having family picnics and people coming in from out of town, which really scares me because that's just prolonging the inoculation period for this virus. So I'd encourage people in the community to please follow the rules, stay shelter in place as much as you can. If you're out and about, taking your dogs for a walk, or going out for a walk for exercise, that's fine. Just stay 6 feet away from your neighbors. Same thing in the grocery stores. With that said, the school district, I've kind of suggested to them that we look at planning for May and June with issues like the prom, graduation, those types of things to move forward. Dr. Menard, Mr. Byam, you have comments on those, or I know you guys are still working on those.
Yeah, we've had some initial conversations on that. But the challenge we've had is just getting the educational plan in place has taken a lot of time over the last few days, and we haven't gotten into some of those other details. As things settle down here in the next week and we learn more about what's going to happen the rest of May, we'll be able to set something up. We've talked about a lot of our kids have already spent a lot of money on prom. And we've talked about, the nice thing for us is we hold it in the schools, so we don't have to go out and rent a place and things like that. So we've talked about rescheduling that. We've talked about maybe doing some sort of, 4 days where we're celebrating graduation, and we do prom, we do our scholarships, we do graduation, but those are just really initial discussions, and a lot of it will depend on when we can do it versus what we do. So
we've also had the opportunity, Zoom has sent out something recently on the possibility of doing commencement on Zoom. So there are a lot of different options, but I know the one thing that we've talked about as an administrative team is to make sure that we are going to celebrate our seniors and do something special for them. They deserve it. They've worked hard. They've come through our system, and they deserve to have that. And so, as we know and we can figure out more information, and we get the guidance in terms of things opening up, we'll start planning that way.
yeah, one of the challenges is, when we can start having those social gatherings, school may be closed through the end of May. That's a possibility. But when are we able to get back together in large groups? That might not be the end of May. That advice may stretch out for a while. So we'll just have to wait and see what the guidance is as far as when we can move forward with those types of things.
This is
Yeah,
Pat.
I
I'm
would-
gonna get my internet back.
I would agree that it's one of these, stay tuned for more information. The other problem we have to look at is that the high school gymnasium is not air conditioned. So if we have to go to graduation in late June, it's either everyone in shorts, or we may have to do it out on the football field or something like that. But those are things that I'm sure Dr. Menard, Mr. Byam are going to be working on. Look forward to hearing their reports and their creativity over the next few weeks.
So we'll get that figured out.
Yeah,
Is there
and both
anything
Chris
else?
and I are creative, so we'll get it done.
Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Are people wearing masks and stuff at lunch distributions yet? Did they today with the new guidelines from CDC?
I did not talk to Lori today, so I can check on that, but they should be.
Yeah.
I did talk to Mark Ashby, and we've got, he's got plenty of work for his people to do right now, but the challenge is they're starting to clean over what they've cleaned, and we really to get the summer work going, we really don't want to do that until we know that school's not coming back in session. So we may get to a point where we ask our custodians not to come in for a few days until we get some more information. But maintenance have plenty to do, and I'll check on food service, Joey, because you're right. We should have all of our employees at our work wearing masks.
What's the
If we
last
can
numbers
access
last few days? I'm
What?
sorry, Brad, what's the numbers we've been serving the last few days?
We've averaged about 500 the last 3-4 days of last week. Today, we were at 465. I
Okay.
got a text from Lori late this afternoon. The other thing is we had that a food service company or organization donate meals on Sunday. And we had 200 meals served out of the food pantry on Sunday. And they're going to do that for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So that's another nice thing that's going on.
Okay, that's very nice. Any other comments? I don't see any listed here on the YouTube account. Unless, Mitch, do you have any?
No, I do not.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mr. Weber?
Second.
Pat's got the second in. So Mr. Weber moved, Stephen seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, one at a time, say aye. Joey,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Pat,
Aye.
Pam, thumbs up. And we are adjourned for the night. Thank you very much for participating. Board members, please stay on. We have a quick